Hi, my name's Phil Hackett from Phil Hackett Photography, and this is my first attempt at creating a video. And what I'm going to be talking about in this video is my opinion of a few different 50mm lens options for Canon. Now, I've tried quite a few different lenses in my time and formed a different opinion of each of them, and I stress that the opinions I'm about to give you are just from my own experience and don't necessarily reflect any careful testing or systematic testing on my part. So the first 50mm lens that a lot of people try is Canon's 50mm f1.8 lens, which is great value lens and is really very sharp, particularly when you consider how little money it costs. In Britain you can get it for about £70 brand new if you search around, and at that price it's a great introduction to some fast lenses. Now, wide open it's not super sharp, but it's not bad, and certainly by f2 and lower you've got a very sharp lens which is capable of bringing the subject out from the background. A couple of criticisms of the lens would be that if you dropped it, it's going to break into pieces. It's a very basically built plasticky and not very solid lens. Also, the background blur is not great. It looks a little bit jaggedy to my eyes, so if you're somebody that's into nice smooth bokeh as they call it, then I wouldn't recommend that one. And it's a little bit noisy, and some people have complained of it being a bit poor focusing in low light. The first time I used one of these lenses, I actually used it for macro with some extension tubes, and stopped down I got some very sharp shots. So I've got fond memories of the 50mm f1.8. I've also tried a couple of copies of the 50mm f1.4 and didn't find either of them great wide open, but stopped down to about f2. They were very sharp lenses. I still felt that the build quality wasn't great, and given that the price is a lot higher than a 50mm 1.8 lens, I might have expected a bit more, and I have indeed heard of people having problems with them after owning them a couple of years. Again, the background blurring wasn't the smoothest, probably better than the 1.8, but certainly not particularly pleasing to my eyes. So the 50mm lens that I use is this one. It's the Canon 50mm f1.2. The red cap is, by the way, an addition of mine, just so that I just find it easier to find the lenses in a kit bag when I'm in a hurry, like at a wedding or something, if I've got different colours, different colour lens caps. But it's supplied with the traditional black cap, and it's also supplied with a quality Canon lens hood, which has got some black felt inside to stop reflections, and I've added the 72mm filter for protection there, partly because I'm paranoid about scratching the front of the glass of lenses, and secondly because this is a weather sealed lens complete with a rubber gasket around the back, so it provides weather sealing when used with an appropriate body, but it's not fully weather sealed until you've got a filter on the front. So that's another reason why I would always use a filter with this particular lens. Okay, so why do I like this one so much? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, despite some reviews that I've read carping slightly about the quality of it wide open, I actually find it very sharp wide open, and certainly if you're not particularly pixel peeping and zooming into sort of 1:2 or 1:1 on your monitor, the results are very sharp wide open, and it gives a lovely separation between the foreground and the background. So if I'm doing some portraiture, I particularly like using it for 3/4 length or full body portraiture. I really feel that I can pop my subject out of the background. I also like using it in the studio. I've used this stop down in the studio, and I think it's a very sharp lens, and it's certainly superb when stopped down to my sort of typical shooting apertures in the studio, which are going to be between f5.6, f8, or maybe even f11. Okay. The quality of the background blur I feel is very good. If you compare it directly with something like the 85 1.2, the 85 1.2 is going to be better, but I still find that I get some really nice background blurring from this particular lens. Now, if you're considering buying a 50mm lens for Canon, there are a couple of other choices that you might consider. There's the Canon 50mm macro, which is an f2.5 lens. It's very, very sharp. It's great for macro work. I don't think it's so great for other work. It's quite noisy, it changes length quite a lot in use, it's quite slow focusing, and I don't think the bokeh's brilliant, but for macro work it's very, very good. It'll go down to 1:2 reproduction on macro, or 1:1 with an added additional converter, but if you want 1:1, I'd just go and get a 100mm lens from the outset. Another couple of options you've got are a Sigma. You can get a Sigma 50mm f1.4, which is pretty good lens wide open and down to about f2. I think it works very, very well. I've had some issues with focusing on some cameras, but the most recent time I tried the 50mm 1.4, I was very, very happy with it. The only criticism that I had was when I used it in the studio and stopped it down a bit more, I didn't feel that it really impressed. It looked like to me a lens that had been optimised for use at or near wide open, which is fair enough. That's probably why you want to buy an f1.4 lens anyway. You've got another couple of options on the Zeiss to think about. Putting aside the new and very, very expensive 50mm Zeiss that has been recently announced, there is the Zeiss 50mm f1.4, which I've not used personally. I'm told that it's very sharp from f2 and below, a bit dreamy wide open, but some people like the effect, or some people call it the way that the lens draws the picture. They like that. And then another option that you've got on the Zeiss is the 50mm macro, which is really a superb lens. But the thing with both the Zeiss lenses you need to be aware of is that they're manual focus lenses. They're beautifully built, and the manual focus is very, very smooth and well damped. But when I'm doing a lot of portraiture work, which is my sort of personal favourite aspect of photography, I find that I really need autofocus. So there you go. That was my first attempt at a little video review for the blog, and I'll see you in the next one if there is one. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. Bye bye.